You know exactly what I am talking about. It could have happened last week. It could have happened in 2014. It could have happened when you were 12 years old, sitting in a classroom full of kids who have probably forgotten your name by now. Maybe you said something in front of a group of people, and it came out completely wrong. Maybe you waved back at someone who was not actually waving at you. Maybe you called a teacher mom by accident and the whole class heard it. Maybe you sent a message to the wrong person. Maybe you fell in front of people. Maybe you laughed at the wrong moment. Maybe you said something you wish with everything in you that you could take back. It does not matter what it was. You know the one. You felt your face go hot the moment it happened. You wanted the ground to open up and swallow you whole. And even now, years later, sometimes decades later, that memory comes back. Out of nowhere, while you are in the shower, while you're driving, while you're lying in bed trying to sleep, while you are in the middle of a completely unrelated conversation. It just appears. And the moment it does, your body responds exactly the same way it did when it actually happened. Your face goes warm. Your stomach drops. You make a noise, that little sound, the sharp breath enter the groan, and whoever is near you looks over and says, "What?" And you say, "Nothing." Because how do you explain that you just relived something that happened 10 years ago in the middle of a perfectly normal Tuesday? Here is what nobody ever told you about that memory. It is not random. It is not your brain being cruel to you. And it is not a sign that you're more sensitive or more embarrassing than other people. There's a very specific, very scientific reason why that memory keeps coming back. And once you understand it, you will never feel the same shame about it again. Let's start with something that will surprise you. Right now, somewhere in the world, there are people who study embarrassing memories for a living. Actual scientists, actual research labs. And what they have found is genuinely one of the most fascinating and most comforting things in all of psychology. The memory is not coming back because it was important. It is coming back because your brain never finished processing it. Here is what that means. Every day, your brain takes an enormous amount of information. Faces, conversations, tasks, smells, sounds, feelings. At the end of each day, while you sleep, your brain goes through everything and files it away. Things that are resolved, completed, and finished get processed and stored quietly. They become regular memories. You can recall them if you want to, but they do not jump out at you uninvited. But things that feel unresolved, things where there was a strong emotion attached, and no clear ending, those get flagged. They get kept in a kind of mental waiting room. Your brain holds them there because it believes the situation is still open. It believes you still need to do something about it. And so it keeps bringing the memory back, tapping you on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, you still have not dealt with this." The scientific name for this is the Zygarnik effect. A Russian psychologist named Bluma Zygarnik discovered in the 1920s that the human brain remembers unfinished things far more powerfully than finished ones. She noticed it first in waiters. They could remember every detail of an order they had not yet delivered, but the moment the food reached the table and the task was complete, the memory faded almost immediately. Your embarrassing memory is an undelivered order. Your brain is a waiter who has been holding that plate for 10 years, waiting for a table that never came. But why does the embarrassment feel so physical? Why does your face go hot? Why does your chest tighten? Why does your stomach drop? Why does your whole body respond as if the thing is happening right now, in this moment, even though it happened years ago? Because to your brain, it is happening right now. This is the part that most people find hard to believe. Your brain does not store memories the way a video camera stores footage. It does not keep a clean recording of what happened that you can rewind and watch from a safe distance. Every single time you remember something, your brain rebuilds the memory from scratch. It reconstructs it using whatever pieces it has stored and fills in the gaps with your current emotions, your current fears, and your current understanding of the world. This means every time you remember that embarrassing moment, you are not watching a replay. You are living through a reconstruction. And your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a reconstructed memory and a real event happening in real time. So it responds the same way. It fires the same stress signals. It releases the same chemicals. It makes your face go hot and your stomach drop because as far as your body is concerned, you're back in that room, back in that moment, back in front of those people. You are not being dramatic when that memory makes you cringe 10 years later. Your body is literally experiencing a version of it again every single time. Now here is where it gets even more interesting. Why does it always choose the worst possible moment to appear? Why does it show up in the shower? Why does it ambush you on a quiet Sunday afternoon? Why does it never seem to arrive when you are busy or distracted, but always when things get quiet? Because quiet is exactly when your brain goes to work. Neuroscientists call this the default mode network. It is a specific set of brain regions that activate when you are not focused on a task, when you are not working, not scrolling, not concentrating on anything in particular. When your mind has a moment to itself, the default mode network switches on automatically. And one of the main things it does is review. It goes back to your experiences, your relationships, your unresolved moments. It is looking for patterns. It is looking for lessons. It is looking for anything that needs finishing. And the embarrassing memory is sitting right there in the waiting room flagged as unfinished. So the default mode network pulls it out and puts it in front of you. Again, this is why the memory hits you in the shower. This is why it finds you while you are driving on an empty road. This is why it comes at night when the world gets quiet. Those are exactly the moments when your default mode network is most active. Those are the moments when your brain is doing its most important background work. And your unresolved embarrassing memory is always near the top of the pile. The shower is not a curse. It is your brain's office hours. But here's the question you have probably never thought to ask. Why does the brain care so much about embarrassment specifically? There are plenty of things that happen to you every day. Mistakes, small failures, awkward moments that you forget almost immediately. Why does embarrassment in particular get treated as such a serious unfinished event? The answer goes back further than you might expect. Tens of thousands of years ago, humans did not survive alone. You survived in groups. Your tribe was everything. Being accepted by your group meant food, shelter, protection, and a chance to live long enough to have children. Being rejected by your group, being cast out, being seen as different or incompetent or threatening. That was not just uncomfortable. That was a death sentence. A human alone in the wild 10,000 years ago did not last long. So your brain evolved to treat social rejection as a survival threat, not a minor inconvenience, not an awkward moment, a genuine threat to your continued existence. The same alarm system that fires when you're physically in danger fires when you feel socially exposed. The fear of embarrassment and the fear of death use many of the same brain pathways. To your ancient brain, they are basically the same thing. This is why embarrassment feels so enormous when it happens. This is why your heart pounds and your palms sweat and your body wants to run. It is not weakness. It is not oversensitivity. It is a 50,000-year-old survival program running in your modern brain because that program kept your ancestors alive long enough for you to exist. Your brain flagged an embarrassing moment as a near-death experience. No, wonder will not let it go. And there is one more layer to this. One more reason the memory keeps coming back that nobody ever talks about. Your brain is not just replaying the memory. It is trying to fix it. Every time that embarrassing moment appears in your mind, your brain is running a kind of simulation. It is replaying the scene and try out different versions of what you could have done, what you could have said instead, how you could have responded differently, how you could have saved yourself. You have probably noticed this. The memory arrives and immediately your brain starts writing alternative scripts. I should have said this. If I had just done that, why didn't I just... Psychologists call this counterfactual thinking, and it is not a sign of you torturing yourself. It is your brain trying to learn. It is your brain preparing for the next time a similar situation arises so that it can do better. It keeps the memory open and active because it genuinely believes that if it runs enough simulations, it will eventually find a version that makes the situation feel resolved. The problem is, the situation already ended. It is over. The people involved have moved on. The moment is done. But your brain has not received that message yet. It is still sitting in the war room running simulations for a battle that finished 10 years ago. Now let me ask you something. Do you actually think the other people remember? Think about that carefully. Think about the people who were there when that embarrassing thing happened. The classmates, the coworkers, the the strangers on the street, the person you said the wrong thing to. Do you genuinely believe they still think about it? Research on this is very clear. There is something psychologists call the spotlight effect. It describes a human tendency to dramatically overestimate how much other people notice and remember things that happen to us. In study after study, people consistently believe that observers remembered and judged their mistakes far more than those observers actually did. In one study, participants were asked to wear an embarrassing t-shirt into a room full of people and then estimate how many people in the room noticed and would remember the shirt. The participants guessed around 50%. The actual number was closer to 25%. They believed twice as many people noticed as actually did. And memory research makes it even clearer. Most people forget the details of social interactions within hours. Within days, the broad shape of the event fades. Within weeks, most observers cannot recall the specifics at all. Within years, and certainly within a decade, the chance that anyone present at your most embarrassing moment still carries a clear memory of it is extraordinarily small. The audience your brain has been performing that memory in front of for 10 years left the theater years ago. You are the only one still watching. Let that land for a moment. Every time you have cringed at that memory, every time your face has gone hot in the shower, every time you have groaned on a quiet Sunday afternoon, every single time your body relived that moment as if it were happening again right now, the other people were not there. They were not thinking about it. They had already moved on. The only person keeping that moment alive, the only person still giving it an audience, still feeling it, still replaying it, still running simulations to try and fix it, was you. You have been the last person standing in an empty theater, watching a film that everyone else walked out of years ago. So what do you actually do about it? Because understanding why the memory keeps coming back is useful, but it does not automatically stop the sting. The next time you are in the shower and that memory surfaces, your face is still going to go warm. Your body is still going to react. So here's what the research actually shows works. The first thing is to stop trying to push the memory away. This sounds completely backwards, but there's a famous psychological experiment where people are told to spend 5 minutes not thinking about a white bear, and the white bear becomes the only thing they can think about. Psychologists call this the ironic process theory. The harder you try to suppress a thought, the more aggressively your brain focuses on it. Every time you groan and try to think about something else when that memory surfaces, you're telling your brain this is something worth suppressing, which tells your brain it is something important, which makes it come back harder. Instead, let it arrive. Look at it for a moment. Say to yourself, almost like reading a label, there is that memory again. My brain thinks this is unfinished. That tiny act of labeling and observing rather than fighting pulls you out of the emotional experience and into a position of watching it from slightly outside. It does not erase the feeling, but it shrinks it. And every time you do this instead of fighting, you send your brain a small signal that the situation is being acknowledged. Over time, the brain starts to believe the file is being handled, and the visits become less frequent. The second thing is to give the memory an ending. Remember, the reason your brain keeps the memory active is because it believes the situation is unresolved. Your brain is waiting for a conclusion, so give it one, not by going back and apologizing to everyone involved 10 years later, not by replaying alternative versions of what you could have said, but by writing an ending for yourself. Literally write it down. Write what happened. Write what you felt. Write what you know now. That nobody remembers that you survived it, that it did not actually destroy anything permanent in your life. Write the conclusion. This situation is over. I was embarrassed. I recovered. It is done. You are completing the file. You are delivering the plate to the table. And once the brain registers a clear ending, the Zeigarnik effect releases its grip. The memory can finally be filed away with everything else. The third thing is the most powerful and the most surprising. Tell someone, not as a confession, not as an apology. Tell it as a funny story. Research on embarrassing memory processing shows that people who retell their embarrassing moments as stories, particularly with humor, process and resolve them significantly faster than people who keep the memories private. The act of telling the story transforms your relationship with it. Instead of being the person the embarrassing thing happened to, You become the person who tells a story about the embarrassing thing that happened. That shift in identity is enormous. The memory moves from something that happens to you to something that belongs to you, from a wound to a scar, from something raw to something healed. Every comedian alive has a set of stories built entirely from their most embarrassing moments. Not because those moments stopped being painful, but because they found a way to stand in a different relationship to them. They took the memory and instead of hiding it, they put it on a stage. And the moment you put something on a stage, you are no longer under it. You are above it. Here is what I want you to take away from all of this. That memory has been visiting you for years because your brain is loyal to you. Fiercely, stubbornly, almost maddeningly loyal. It kept that memory alive because it believed you still needed it. It kept running simulations because it wanted you to be better prepared. It kept bringing the moment back because it genuinely thought it was helping you survive. Your brain was not torturing you. It was protecting you with outdated tools, using ancient software in a situation that stopped being dangerous 10,000 years ago, but protecting you nonetheless. And the people in that memory, the ones your brain has been imagining as a permanent audience for everything you do, they moved on the same day it happened. They went home and thought about their own lives. They had their own embarrassing moments to process. They were never watching as closely as your brain believed they were. You were never as exposed as you felt. You were never as alone as you felt either. Because right now, as you watch this, there are millions of people on this planet carrying the exact same kind of memory. A classroom, a work meeting, a family dinner, a first date, a quiet Tuesday when they said the wrong thing at the wrong moment to the wrong person. All of them cringing in the shower. All of them groaning on quiet Sunday afternoons. All of them being visited by a loyal, overprotective brain that never got the message that the danger had passed. You are not uniquely embarrassing. You are not uniquely sensitive. You are not broken or dramatic or weak for carrying this. You are human with a human brain, doing exactly what a human brain was built to do. The only thing left to do now is send it the message it has been waiting for. The situation is over. You survived it. The file is closed. And the next time that memory shows up while you are in the shower, and it will, at least one more time, try something different. Instead of groaning and pushing away, just say quietly, I know why you are here, and I am okay. We are done with this one. You might be surprised how quickly it finally lets go.